In this video, I want to talk about some of the experience using Excel and would be an ideal way to work in this particular environment. In this example, I'm using a very simple quantitative analysis example. What I'm doing here, I'm starting with a time series for SPX. So it starts from an early date to a later date. And from here, what I'm doing, I'm trying to, just analyze some basic properties of the time series and its correlation with the USD to CAD time series. So effectively, we have SPX, we have also the USD to CAD foreign exchange rate, and here what I'm calculating is the return of the SPX over its history. And after this, I'm making a plot. And after that, what I'm doing is I'm generating 260 random numbers. So I'm generating 260 random numbers, and I just realized the random number generation isn't particularly correct, but anyway. So here, what I have here, I'm sampling from the original time series to get my sampled return, and then I start from the base value to calculate essentially a projected future value for my time series. And here, as you can see here, the final value is around this particular value, starting with the latest, which is base in this case. So this is just doing a very simple time series, historical simulation. And the next thing I want to do is I want to calculate correlation between SPX and USD. The first thing I did here is I have the time series for USD, but it's of a different length. So if you take a look, it has only 4,000 rows. So I have to start at the same time. But if you try to use the formula, you realize the data size doesn't really match. And the reason for that is the original the source data, it contains some dates that are not available in the original time series. So I mean, I'm not an Excel expert. I'm sure there's a way to do Excel, and I find some people might use VBA to do it. But personally, what I did, I used a C# script to filter the time series such that the length match. So in this case, it's 4,216 rows, and in this case, we have 4,216 rows. But now, if I try to do the correlation, I realize there is issue with the source data, and the source data contains some missing values. If you take a look here, some of the values are null. So now I need to find a way to replace it. Now, without writing a script, I might be tempted to simply make a copy and try to replace those numbers, by deleting those rows. But soon I realized there are a lot of missing rows, so it's not very feasible to do it manually. And what if I need to re-import another different time range, right? So the analysis at this step is kind of stuck. I cannot easily proceed. But eventually, what I want to do is I want to draw a chart, kind of like plot both time series, one on the vertical axis, the other one on the x-axis. Now again, I hit the problem because I'm not an Excel expert. The select data function is really, I don't know, I have no idea how I can move this one to the other axis. Because let's say if I just want to do a simple stuff like this, and if I draw it, right, I can insert a scatter plot. You see, it's drawing like this. And the reason is that the data, it's putting one of the series on one axis, the other one is on the other axis. However, now, because the time series data in my case is not on the same worksheet, I have no idea how I can select this column and then use something from another worksheet to effectively draw the same thing. So that part is stuck for now. But anyway, now without talking more about the analysis, let's just talk about this basic stuff I'm doing here. So it's kind of clear from the way I have illustrated everything to you, because I walked through the process, I set it up. But if you are just given this particular chart, it's kind of not very straightforward what exactly it's trying to do. And you can easily imagine if you have a complicated Excel template, the things you are doing there can get out of control very quickly. And over time, the relationship between all kinds of things inside the worksheet is just hard to grasp. But essentially, what I really want is a way to see the relation between all the computations. And effectively, if we take a look at the example here, we have the thing that I really care is all the raw data without all the interface elements. So effectively, what I want to do is I don't want this part, and I don't want this part, and I don't want the rest of it, and all I really want is those stuff, right? So essentially, that's all the stuff we care. And what I want to do is I want to see the relation between those things in a straightforward way. And I'm going to illustrate it here. So effectively, those are the things that we have, and the thing we are trying to do. So we have a time series, and what we want to do is we want to somehow get the return from it. And from the return, we can get the plot for the return, and from there, I can do some random sampling from the return using the random number I have generated. So the same thing from here, we get this kind of data, right? And from the base and also the random sample, we can get something like this. So that's our simulated result. And from the simulated result, we can finally get our final value. So that's the final value I'm trying to do. So as you can see here, we get this kind of flow chart that tells us the sort of thing we are trying to do. And the only thing that could make this better is if we can, give it more specific behavior. For instance, we can see this is trying to get the return. And here, the top line, we are just trying to sample from returns. And here on the bottom line, we are trying to do plotting returns in histogram. And here, we are just combining those data to do a simulation. Do time historical simulation, and here we just extract the final value, and that is essentially the workflow. And the program can be further divided into other parts. For instance, we can have all of those. Okay, we can kind of hide it in a sense by if I can find a way to insert. Yes, I want to insert a rectangle. So what we can do here, we can further encapsulate those process and give those process a name. You can call it like do simulation, right? So we can call this particular function that we are trying to do a simulation in this part, right? And you can imagine this part can be a black box, and literally a black box. And finally, we can get the value from all of the black box, right? And from here, you can see that this part can also be a black box, and this part will be a black box. Oh, sorry. This part will be a black box that we can call, get source data or get source returns, right? And then here, you can imagine now if that's the case, what we can do is we can just condense the entire graph into those few parts, and eventually it will be only 4 parts. That is the we have do simulation, we have the output, and we have the charting. Now that's the whole idea here. So to recap, the whole idea here is basically we start from a Excel worksheet, and we want to get some processing done, right? But eventually, what we really want is to have a clear view of what happens behind the thing. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.